The sound didn't belong. Nathan Cole knew every noise his barn made at 4 in the morning, and this soft, high-pitched whinny wasn't one of them. He'd been ranching for over 3 decades in the Wyoming foothills, and lately sleep had been elusive anyway, so checking on the horses gave him something to do in those quiet hours before dawn when loneliness felt heaviest. His mare was dozing peacefully. His gelding too. But the sound came again from the far end of the barn, from the empty stall he used for storage. Nathan grabbed his flashlight and walked down the aisle, his boots echoing on concrete. When he reached that last stall and swung the light inside, he stopped breathing. A foal stood in the corner, legs splayed awkwardly like all newborns, her coat still fuzzy with baby fuzz. She was charcoal gray, the color that gray foals are born before they lighten with age. Maybe 3 or 4 days old. And she was completely alone. No mare. No person. Just the foal, a pile of clean straw that hadn't been there yesterday, a bucket of water, and a small bag of mare's milk replacer propped against the wall. The foal whinnied again, wobbling toward him on unsteady legs. That's when Nathan saw the piece of paper folded carefully and tied to the tiny halter around her neck with baling twine. His hands shook as he untied it. The handwriting was shaky but deliberate, like someone had taken their time despite desperate circumstances. Mr. Cole, her name is Destiny. She was born 4 days ago. I can't keep her and I can't explain why, but I need you to know she's everything good in this world. Please don't let her end up at auction. Please give her a chance to become what she's meant to be. I know you're a good man. I've watched you with your horses. You'll understand someday why I had to do this. I'm sorry I can't stay to explain. Thank you for saving her life. No signature. Nathan read it 3 times, his vision blurring. Then he looked at the foal, Destiny, who was staring at him with huge dark eyes, her tiny muzzle reaching toward his hand. Well, he said, his voice rough. I guess you're mine now. Nathan Cole wasn't supposed to be alone at 56. The plan had been to build this life with someone, to have children running around, to pass knowledge down to the next generation. But life rarely follows plans. His wife, Leslie, had died 8 years ago on a winter road, black ice and terrible timing. They'd never had kids. Just one of those things that never happened despite wanting it desperately. Since then, Nathan had kept mostly to himself. He had ranch hands during calving season and haying time. He went to church on Sundays. But he lived a quiet existence on his 120 acres tucked against the Medicine Bow Mountains. Some people thought he was lonely. Nathan preferred to think of it as peaceful. He was good with horses, though. Patient, with an intuitive sense of what an animal needed. He'd raised dozens of foals over the years, had a reputation for starting colts with a light hand and solid foundation. But he hadn't bred any horses in 5 years. No real reason to, with just himself to feed. Which made finding an abandoned foal in his barn even more confusing. Nathan lived 8 miles from the nearest neighbor. His property was gated. You couldn't stumble onto his place by accident. Someone had deliberately driven up his road in the middle of the night and left this foal. Someone who knew him. Someone who'd watched him with his horses. The thought made his skin prickle. But when he looked at Destiny wobbling around the stall, sniffing at the water bucket and not quite knowing what to do with it, his protective instincts took over. Raising an orphan foal is brutal work. They're fragile, prone to infection, and they need to eat every 2 hours around the clock for the first few weeks. Nathan knew this from experience. He'd bottle-raised 2 foals before. But those foals had at least gotten colostrum, the vital first milk that gives newborns their immune system. Destiny was 4 days old. Had she gotten colostrum from her mother? There was no way to know. Nathan mixed the milk replacer according to directions. High-quality stuff, not the cheap kind. He filled the bottle and approached Destiny, who sniffed it suspiciously, then bumped it with her nose. Formula sprayed across Nathan's shirt. Come on, little girl, he murmured, positioning the nipple at her mouth. I know it's not your mama, but it's what we've got. It took 20 minutes and considerable patience, but finally Destiny figured out how to suck on the bottle. She drained 16 ounces with enthusiasm, milk foam on her whiskers, her tiny tail swishing with contentment. Nathan checked her over carefully. She seemed healthy. Bright eyes, pink gums, No signs of dehydration. Her umbilical stump was properly dried. Someone had been taking care of her, at least for the first few days of her life. But where was her mother? And why would someone abandon a healthy foal? Over the next few days, Nathan fell into the exhausting routine of newborn care. Feeding every 2 hours, even through the night. Cleaning the stall multiple times daily. Monitoring Destiny for any signs of illness. He called the sheriff's department to report finding her. Without any identifying marks or microchip, there wasn't much they could do. If nobody claims her in 90 days, she's legally yours, Deputy Collins told him. But between you and me, Nathan, whoever left her wanted you to have her specifically. They didn't dump her somewhere to die. Nathan knew that was true, but it didn't answer why. He took the note out of his pocket and read it again for the 100th time. I've watched you with your horses. That meant someone local. Someone who'd been on his property or seen him working. She's everything good in this world. What did that mean? And the most haunting line. You'll understand someday why I had to do this. What circumstances would make someone abandon a foal they clearly cared about? Nathan started asking around casually at the feed store. Did anyone know of any maras that had foaled recently? Nobody did. He checked with veterinarians in a 50-mile radius. None had records of a gray mare foaling in the past week. The brand inspector came out to check Destiny for any identifying marks. Nothing. She's a nice-looking foal, Inspector Rodriguez said, running her hands down Destiny's legs. Good bone, pretty head, nice movement. Whoever bred her knew what they were doing. This isn't some backyard accident. This is a well-bred foal. That made it more confusing. You didn't carefully breed horses and then abandon the foal unless something had gone terribly wrong. 2 weeks after finding Destiny, Nathan was in town picking up feed when he ran into an old friend, Robert, who ran a small breeding operation about 20 miles away. Hey, I heard you've got a new foal. Gray filly, that right? Word travels fast, Nathan said. Yeah, someone left her in my barn. You know anything about it? Robert's expression turned serious. Can I see a picture? Nathan pulled out his phone and showed him a photo from that morning. Destiny standing in sunshine, her dark coat starting to show the dappling that would emerge as she grew. Robert stared at the photo for a long moment. Nathan, I might know who that foal is. Or, at least who her mother is. Can I come out to your place tomorrow? Robert showed up the next morning with a folder full of papers. Nathan met him at the barn where Destiny was playing in a small paddock, bucking and kicking with the joy that healthy foals have. That's her, Robert said immediately. Nathan, I think that foal is out of Sterling Silver Dream. Nathan frowned. Should I know that name? Maybe not. But anyone serious about performance horses in this region does. Dream is a gray mare owned by a woman named Christina Wells. She's a futurity winner, earned over $200,000 in reining competitions. Her foals regularly sell for $15,000 to $30,000. She was bred to a stallion called Destined for Diamonds, big-time reining horse, $3,500 stud fee. The foal from that breeding was supposed to be born in early October. Nathan looked at Destiny. You're telling me this foal is worth $20,000 or $30,000? If she's who I think she is, yeah. And here's the thing, Christina Wells was in a bad accident about 6 months ago. Horse accident. She's been in a rehabilitation facility. I don't know what happened to her horses. Nathan felt something cold settle in his stomach. What kind of accident? Got thrown and trampled. Broken back, head injuries. She was in a coma for a while. Robert hesitated. Nathan, there were rumors she might not walk again. That she might not be the same mentally. I don't know how true that is, but her family was dealing with a lot. Nathan pulled out the note and handed it to Robert. Does this handwriting look familiar? Robert studied it. Could be hers. Christina's in her 30s, lives alone on a small place near Laramie. Or she did before the accident. I can't keep her, and I can't explain why, Nathan read aloud. If Christina was hurt that badly, if she's in a facility somewhere, who took care of the mare? Who was there when this foal was born? That's what I've been wondering, Robert said. And I heard some other rumors about Christina's family. Her brother specifically. He was trying to get control of her assets while she was in the hospital. There was talk about him selling her horses, liquidating everything. If someone was trying to protect this foal from being sold at auction, they might have had to do it secretly. Nathan felt his chest tighten. So someone stole a newborn foal to save it. That's a harsh way to put it. But maybe. That night, Nathan did something he rarely did. He spent hours online searching for information about Christina Wells. He found old competition videos. Christina riding Sterling Silver Dream, the pair moving as one unit, executing perfect spins and sliding stops. Christina's face was focused, intense, but there was joy there too. He found a news article from 6 months ago about a local reining competitor seriously injured in a training accident. Then he found something else, a court filing from 3 months ago. Christina's brother, Richard Wells, had filed for emergency conservatorship, claiming his sister was mentally incapacitated and unable to manage her affairs. Nathan sat back in his chair, his jaw tight. He thought about the note again. I can't explain why. Maybe because explaining would put someone at risk. He looked out at the barn where Destiny was sleeping. A $30,000 foal, daughter of champions, left in his care by someone who trusted him to do right by her. The next morning, Nathan made a decision. He called the phone number listed for Sterling Silver Dream's owner in the breed registry database. It rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. A woman's voice, bright and confident. Hi, this is Christina. I'm probably out with the horses, but leave a message. Nathan left a message. Ms. Wells, my name is Nathan Cole. I'm a rancher over in Carbon County, and I have a gray filly foal that I believe might be yours. She was left at my property about 3 weeks ago. If you could call me back, I'd appreciate it. He didn't expect to hear back. But 2 hours later, his phone rang from a blocked number. Mr. Cole. The voice was soft, slightly slurred, like someone recovering from a stroke. This is Christina Wells. You said you have my foal. If this story is touching your heart, please share it with someone who needs to be reminded that sometimes the most desperate acts of love are the ones that save us all. They talked for an hour. Christina's speech was slow, and she had to pause often to find words, but her mind was sharp. She remembered everything. I was riding Dream, working on a new maneuver. I got cocky, pushed too hard. She bucked me off, and I landed wrong. By the time I woke up in the hospital, it had been 3 weeks. They told me I'd broken my back, fractured my skull, that I was lucky to be alive. I'm sorry, Nathan said. That must have been terrifying. The worst part was my horses. I had 6 of them, including Dream. My brother Richard, he's not a bad person, but he doesn't understand horses. He just sees money. While I was unconscious, he started making plans to sell them. All of them. What happened to the horses? He sold 5 of them. Quick sales to whoever would pay. I don't even know where they went. Her voice broke. But Dream was pregnant. She was due in October. Richard wanted to sell her too, but she was too close to foaling. Nobody wants to transport a heavily pregnant mare. Who was taking care of her? My neighbor Elaine. She's 70 years old, has a little hobby farm next to my place. She'd been checking on the horses after the accident. When Richard sold the others, Elaine begged him to let her keep Dream until the foal came. He agreed, but only because he thought he'd get more money selling them separately after. Nathan felt his stomach turn. And the foal was born? 4 days before Elaine brought her to you. Yes. Elaine called me at the facility, told me Dream had a beautiful gray filly, healthy, strong, perfect. But she also told me Richard was already making calls to horse traders. He was going to sell them both, probably to separate buyers for whatever he could get quickly. Christina paused. Nathan could hear her take a shaky breath. That's when we made the plan. Elaine told Richard the foal had died. That Dream had rejected her, and she'd passed away before Elaine could get a vet out. Richard believed it because he doesn't know anything about horses. It bought us time to get Destiny to you. So Elaine brought the foal to me. I told her to, Christina said, her voice firm despite the slurred speech. I couldn't save all my horses, Mr. Cole, but I could save one. Elaine and I looked up local ranchers with good reputations. Your name came up over and over. People said you were honest, kind to your animals, patient with youngsters. I told Elaine to take Destiny to you. I wrote the note, though it took me 20 minutes with my hand shaking. Christina, that foal is worth a lot of money. Could have what? Her voice was sharp now. Watched her go to auction? Watched some dealer buy her for $500 and flip her to whoever? Mr. Cole, I've spent my whole life breeding horses for performance. Dream is the best mare I've ever owned. That foal has the potential to be exceptional. But more than that, she's the last piece of the life I built before everything fell apart. I needed her to go somewhere she'd be valued, not as money, but as a horse. Nathan was quiet for a moment. What about Dream? Your neighbor still has her. For now. She told Richard that a mare needs a few months to recover after giving birth before being moved. And you? What's your prognosis? Christina laughed, a bitter sound. The doctors say I'll walk again. Maybe. That I'll regain more speech function with therapy. But it'll take time. Months, maybe years. And I don't have years, Mr. Cole. Richard is liquidating my assets. By the time I can fight him in court, there won't be anything left. Nathan looked out at Destiny grazing in the paddock. Christina, what do you want me to do with your foal? She was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was thick with tears. I want you to keep her. I want you to raise her, train her, give her the life she deserves. And someday, if I get better, if I get my life back, I want to come see her. But I'm not asking for her back. I'm asking you to give her the future I can't. After he hung up, Nathan sat on his porch for a long time thinking. Legally, Destiny would be his in another 70 days. Christina had essentially given him a $30,000 horse. He could raise her, train her, maybe even sell her for profit. Or he could do something else. He called his lawyer. Bev, I need to know about conservatorship. If someone's under conservatorship but mentally competent, can they fight it? Absolutely. But they need representation, and they need to demonstrate competency. Why? Nathan explained the situation. When he finished, Beverly was quiet. Nathan, this is messy. If you involve yourself, you could end up in legal trouble. That foal was technically removed from property without the conservator's permission. So, what would you do? I'd make sure that woman gets the help she needs to fight for herself. Because this isn't just about a horse. It's about someone's whole life being taken from them when they're most vulnerable. Nathan called Christina back. I want to help you. Not just with Destiny, but with everything. What would it take to challenge the conservatorship? Money I don't have, Christina said bluntly. Legal fees, expert witnesses. Even if I can prove I'm recovering, Richard will argue I'm not stable enough to manage property and horses. And honestly, right now, he might be right. I'm still learning to walk again. What if you didn't have to do it alone? Nathan said. What if we worked out a partnership? It took 3 months to put everything together. Nathan hired Beverly to represent Christina in the conservatorship challenge. They brought in neurologists and rehabilitation specialists who testified that while Christina had physical limitations, she was mentally competent and improving steadily. They also presented a business plan. Nathan would provide property and hands-on care for Christina's horses, the ones they could recover, plus Dream and Destiny. Christina would retain ownership and make breeding and sales decisions as a partner in a new business, Wells Cole Performance Horses. The judge reviewed the evidence and agreed to dissolve the conservatorship on the condition that Christina have a co-manager for her horse business and continue rehabilitation therapy. Richard contested it, but without strong evidence his sister was incompetent. The motion failed. 2 weeks after the conservatorship was lifted, Elaine brought Dream to the Cole Ranch. Nathan watched from the barn as they unloaded the gray mare. She was stunning, 15 hands of perfect quarter-horse conformation with a gentle eye and that ground-covering movement performance horses have. She walked down the trailer ramp and immediately started calling. From the paddock, Destiny's head shot up. The foal, now 4 months old and filled out beautifully, started running along the fence, whinnying frantically. Dream answered with that deep rumbling nicker Maras use with their babies. They released her into the paddock and the reunion was instant. Dream rushed to Destiny, sniffing her all over, making soft sounds. Destiny buried her face in her mother's neck, her whole body trembling with joy. Nathan felt his eyes burning. Beside him, Elaine was crying openly. "I didn't think we'd ever get to do this," she said. "I thought they'd be separated forever." "They're home now," Nathan said. "Both of them." Christina came to the ranch on a Saturday in late spring, almost 6 months after Nathan had found Destiny in his barn. Elaine drove, and Nathan watched as they helped her out of the car. She was in a wheelchair, but she was alert and smiling. "Mr. Cole," she said, her speech clearer now though still careful. "Thank you for having me." "Nathan, please. And you don't have to thank me." He wheeled her down to the paddock where Dream and Destiny were grazing. It was a perfect Wyoming afternoon, the mountains clear against blue sky, the grass green from spring rain. When Dream saw Christina, she came to the fence immediately, nickering. Christina reached up, tears streaming down her face, and Dream lowered her head so Christina could touch her, could run her hands over that familiar face. "Hey, beautiful girl," Christina whispered. "I missed you so much." Destiny, curious about the stranger, came over too. She was 6 months old now, grown into a leggy youngster with a dappled gray coat and her mother's elegant head. She sniffed Christina's chair, then her hand, then decided the woman was safe and stood patiently while Christina examined her. "She's perfect," Christina said, looking up at Nathan. "You did such a good job with her. She's a good filly. Smart, brave, willing. She's going to be something special." Christina nodded. "I always knew she would be. That's why I named her Destiny. I knew from the breeding that this foal was destined for greatness. I just didn't know how much she was destined to change all our lives." They talked for hours that afternoon about horses and training, about the future of their partnership. Christina couldn't ride yet, but she could teach. Her knowledge was encyclopedic, and Nathan found himself taking notes. "You know," Christina said as the sun started to set, "I thought losing my horses was the worst thing that could happen to me. But if none of that had happened, I wouldn't have met you. Dream would still be with me, but Destiny would just be another foal. Now she's the horse that brought us all together. The horse that gave me a reason to fight." Nathan smiled. "Funny how that works. After my wife died, I thought I'd just run this ranch alone until I couldn't anymore. I didn't think I needed partnerships or help. But sometimes life puts things in your path that you didn't know you needed. Like a foal in your barn in the middle of the night. Exactly like that. The partnership worked. Nathan provided the physical labor and facilities. Christina provided expertise and breeding knowledge. They'd recovered one more of Christina's horses, and they had client horses in training. It wasn't making anyone rich, but it was sustainable. And Dream was pregnant again, due to foal in the spring. On Destiny's first birthday, they threw a small party. Nathan, Christina, Elaine, and a few neighbors. They took photos of Destiny with a birthday hat made of flowers, which she immediately tried to eat. After everyone left, Nathan and Christina stood by the fence watching Destiny play with her mother in the evening light. "You know," Christina said, "I never thanked you properly for everything. For taking her in, for helping me fight Richard, for giving me a reason to keep going when everything felt hopeless." "You don't need to thank me," Nathan said. "Destiny changed my life too. After Leslie died, I was just existing. Then this foal showed up and forced me to care again. Forced me to connect with people, to build something new. She didn't just need saving. I did too." Christina was quiet for a moment. "I've been thinking about that note I wrote. About how I said you'd understand someday why I had to leave her with you. Do you understand now?" Nathan thought about it, about how Destiny had led him to Christina, to a partnership that had become friendship, about how saving one foal had ended up saving a woman's future and giving him new purpose, about how sometimes the things that seem random or desperate are actually the beginning of something bigger. "Yeah," he said. "I understand. She was meant to be here. We were meant to find each other. All of us." Christina smiled. "Destiny. It's a good name, isn't it? Because she wasn't just destined for greatness as a horse. She was destined to bring us all together." In the paddock, Destiny reared up playfully, her silver coat gleaming in the sunset, her whole life ahead of her. A foal who'd been abandoned to be saved. A horse who'd been lost so she could be found. A partnership born from desperation that had become hope. Nathan watched her and thought about that note he'd found tied to her halter. About how he'd cried reading those words in the dark barn. He understood now that those tears weren't just for a foal. They were for everything she represented. Second chances, new beginnings, the possibility that even when everything falls apart, something beautiful can emerge from the broken pieces. 3 years after finding Destiny in his barn, Nathan stood at the rail of a show arena in Oklahoma City, his heart pounding as the announcer's voice boomed across the loudspeakers. Ladies and gentlemen, competing in the Level 2 Open Reining, riding Destin's Silver Dream, please welcome Christina Wells. The crowd applauded as Christina rode Destiny into the arena. The mare, because Destiny was a mare now, fully grown at 4 years old, was stunning. Silver gray, perfectly muscled, moving with grace and power that came from careful training and natural talent. Christina looked different too. Confident in the saddle, no sign of the wheelchair or cane. She'd worked 3 years to get here through pain and setbacks and countless hours of physical therapy. Nathan watched from the rail as they performed their pattern. Every maneuver was precise. The spins, the rollbacks, the sliding stop that sent dust flying. Destiny was brilliant, and Christina rode her with a connection that only comes from deep bonds. When they finished, the crowd roared. Christina rode out with tears streaming down her face, and Nathan was there to meet her. She was perfect, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Both of you were perfect. We didn't win, Christina said, but she was smiling. Doesn't matter. You did what everyone said was impossible. You're here, you're riding, and you're doing it on the horse that saved both our lives. They didn't win that day. They placed 4th, which was still respectable in a talented field. But it didn't matter. What mattered was the journey. What mattered was that a foal who'd been abandoned in a barn had grown into a champion. That a woman who'd lost everything had rebuilt her life. That a lonely rancher had found purpose again. That night, Nathan's phone rang. It was Elaine. How'd they do? 4th place, Nathan said. But Elaine, you should have seen them. It was beautiful. I knew it would be. That foal was special from the day she was born. I knew it when I left her in your barn. You took a hell of a risk. Elaine laughed. Nathan, I watched you for months before that night. I saw how you treated your horses, how you were gentle with the nervous ones and patient with the difficult ones. I knew what kind of man you were. That's why I chose you. And I was right. After they hung up, Nathan sat looking out at city lights. He thought about that morning 4 years ago when he'd found a foal in his barn. About the note that had made him cry. About all the ways one small act of desperate hope had changed everything. His phone buzzed with a text from Christina. Thank you for believing in us. Both of us. You gave us our future back. Nathan typed back. You gave me mine too. And it was true. Because sometimes salvation comes in the most unexpected packages. Sometimes it's a foal with a note tied to her halter. Sometimes it's a partnership born from crisis. Sometimes it's learning that the family you build is just as powerful as the one you're born into. Nathan had thought his story was over when Leslie died. Instead, he'd found Christina, Elaine, and Destiny. He'd found purpose and partnership and something that felt like joy again. All because someone left a foal in his barn and trusted him to do the right thing. If this story moved you, we'd love for you to share it with someone who needs to hear about second chances and unexpected blessings today. Drop a comment below and tell us about a time an animal changed your life. We love hearing your stories. And make sure to subscribe so you never miss these powerful reminders that sometimes the most beautiful chapters in life are the ones we never saw coming. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the best things arrive in the dark, wrapped in mystery, waiting for someone brave enough to say yes.